Hi folks, it's S.L.Ager here, author of the 11 plus vocabulary novels and workbooks, the Cadwallader Quests. You can see those behind me. I wanted to hop on today because I get a lot of messages asking me when I think the best time to begin preparing, or when is the best time to begin preparing for the 11 plus exams. So I can't speak from the perspective of a tutor or a teacher. I always speak from the perspective of a mother who's been through it twice. I started preparing with my daughter about 8 years ago, and my son 2 or 3 years later. So cat amongst the pigeons here. You can start preparing for the 11 plus from when your child is born. But, and here's the huge but, don't talk about any preparation and be completely sensible about it. So what I'm trying to say is, as parents that are interested in education, we're going to start preparing our children from a young age because it's in us. If we're even thinking about grammar school, and I'm talking state grammar school here, because independent school prep, you might be prepping for that for slightly different reasons, but ostensibly it's the same. But you're going to be educationally focused. So in reality, from when they're born, but in practice, the biggest question I get is, what should I be doing in year 3? So I've got a few notes, so I might actually look down at them. But in year 3, I would not mention the 11 plus at all. And this is from experience of going through it with both my children, and lots of experience from speaking to people on Facebook and privately. I personally wouldn't mention the 11 plus at all in year 3. I would focus on lots and lots of reading. And when I say reading, and I see lots of parents, saying my child's a free reader in year 1, in year 2, in year 3, and they can read this and they can read that. And I fell into this trap as well, thinking that because my child could read tricky words, difficult vocabulary, I fell into the trap of focusing more on what they could read, but not focusing on what they actually understood. So I would say read with your child at least 20 minutes a day, if you can manage that more, but I know how busy we all are. But talk about the text with them and make sure that they understand what they're reading. The nuance of the word on the page, what is the inference from the author? And I know maybe at that age the text may not have sort of really covert inferences, but any inference that's there, make sure that your child understands it. Comprehension in year 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 are king, I think, to the 11 plus, and understanding the vocabulary. So the vocabulary in the context of how it's written on that page. So for year 3, reading, 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 but understanding. In terms of maths for year 3, focus on great times tables and quick recall. And again, that can be quite a dull proposition, but what we did was a friend of mine actually, she gave me a CD, shows how long ago it was, a CD player for the car called Times Tables Rap. And basically it was rap songs written for kids and based on really great learning topics. So there was one, all rapping about the Egyptians, and we'd sing it on the way to school, on the way to swimming lessons, anything, and it really helped the kids. But I would say times table recall, and fortunately our primary school were really hot on times tables. Times table recall is one of the biggest attributes to doing well in the 11 plus, as well as comprehension. So year 3, times tables, make sure they've got all their number bonds and the 4 operations. And by the 4 operations, I just mean, multiplication, addition, division and subtraction. So make sure that your child is really hot on those before you go sort of forcing them to do maybe books, workbooks at that age. I'm not saying don't do it. At the end of the day, it's your child, and you've got to make the decisions that you feel fit for your child. But these were just my observations from that age. Just let me check, see if I've missed anything on my notes here. Oh yeah, okay. So like I said, comprehension is queen and king, but what you could do in year 3, but again, don't force the 11 plus kind of mantra on them. Find one word a day and bring it into your conversation over and over. So it doesn't need, another thing I see with the 11 plus, and particularly with creative writing, is children forcing in words that are, you know, really quite different and quite abstract. And I see that they've probably looked up synonyms and antonyms. It need not be a really out there word, an abstract word. I often say that Jude came out of his test and asked me what barely and merely mean. And they're quite difficult words. I mean, I sort of put my head in my hands because I thought I taught him those because they're in my books, but clearly he'd not understood the meaning of merely and barely in context. So take one word a day. It, like I say, it need not be a long word. It need not be something. Don't go into the dictionary and choose something you've never seen before. Choose a word that you know really well, but your child doesn't, okay? And then bring it into your conversation over and over. I probably wouldn't mention the 11 plus at all until year 4. With my daughter, I didn't start until year 5, but that was naivety. And with my son, I started in year 4, but very slowly. Again, that's your choice when you start, but personally, I would advocate year 4. And then ramp it up into year 5. What I did with my son, because I think he needed more help, we made sure that we were slightly ahead on the ages of the workbooks. So we didn't leave the year 10 and 11 workbooks until the last minute, because we found there was a huge jump in difficulty between the workbooks that were aged 9 to 10 and 10 to 11. So CGP, for example, 9 to 10, my children sort of, or certainly my daughter, because she did them first, she rattled through that. And I was thinking, we were all confident, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then when she got to 10 to 11, it was like, eek, it was so difficult. So bear in mind that it might be worth getting onto the 10 to 11 books a little bit before you might normally do. And again, this is not working with a tuition company. This was me doing a lot of the heavy lifting at home. So obviously listen to your tutors first and foremost, because they're tutors. This was just my experience. So so we started year 5 with daughter, felt it was too late. Year 4 with son, we started slowly. We ramped it right up in year 5. And then after Easter of year 5, so now we worked on speed and we worked on accuracy, and we did 3 mocks with each of them, which we found to be invaluable. So those were external mocks. We didn't do tons and tons of full practice papers at home. We did some, but I found it just, the kids dreaded it, I dreaded it, and we really worked on those full papers at home nearer the time. But what we did do was we chunked the practice papers. So I would take out the verbal reasoning part of a full practice paper, set the time, and they would do that. And the same with the non-verbal reasoning and the maths, because that's what we covered. And then I would write down their marks, and we'd do those maybe with a week apart and go back and revisit and see the improvement, because the improvement really helped with the confidence. So if you're doing the 11 plus this September, you know, you now need to be working on speed and accuracy. And don't forget, the accuracy needs to come before the speed, because there's no point in speeding up if the work isn't very accurate. So just to sort of sum up this video, again, everything is from my experience as a parent. And remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. I always use this sort of little analogy. A marathon runner trains every day for the marathon to peak on a day, and that's what we need to be doing with our kids. So all the best if you're sitting the test this year, all the best if it's your second or third time. Marathon, not a sprint, and peak on the day. I hope the video helps. All the best, Sheena. Bye.